I just realized we're in the semifinals.
True.
Get some predictions up.
I will
I'll buy
try.
you time. I'll buy you time.
I will try and set that up as soon as possible. Meanwhile, unless I'm mistaken, I think Renegade X is also casting the lower semis. I don't know if he went offline.
Yeah, he went offline.
Ah, okay.
You ready, Chicken Man? The end of that. But yes, while we get our predictions on the way, we are going to be kicking off our semifinals here. It is going to be another PVZ, and it starts on Glittering Ashes. LE. Over in the top right-hand corner, spotting all the way in the top right-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea, showing just how tenacious he can be, just how much grit is left in him. Representing Alpha X, he is Zoun.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, we have one of the best Zerg players in all of South Korea, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming DPG. It is Rogue. Oh my god.
That's a very quick Roachwarn.
Roachwarn?
Roachwarn? I swear to God, I saw a Roachwarn, but no, it's a spawning pool. What the hell? What did that? What?
It's okay, Yaku. It's okay. You could be blind. But what I was about to say is that, mate, you say tenacious. We have a Protoss player who he can sink his bank into like 15 Phoenixes, lose them all, almost needlessly, and still take the W, mate. It's insane.
What a goddamn baller.
Doesn't even care, mate. Doesn't even care. Oh, God. But here we are in a different ZvP, and I say different because we were talking a lot about Solar in the previous series and about how he does struggle in the ZvP matchup, and he does find a way, or his goal in life has been to try and end games early. He doesn't find success in the late game. Rogue, though,
that's
he
bucket
does.
List.
It is. Oh, God.
What do you want to be remembered for, Solar?
Would be
the guy who discovered how to end ZvP quickly.
Exactly, man.
And consistently.
Exactly. That's all he wanted in life. That's all he wants. But again, Rogue is almost, I don't want to say the polar opposite, but again, he is a lot more willing to embrace the ZvP late game, and he is a lot more successful in it.
Well, I guess the way to put it is Rogue is a lot more versatile in that sense. He can go for very quick cheeses to end the game early. He can take it all the way to the late game, all the way to Sky Toss versus Sky Zerg. He's more than willing to just wait around and fish for carriers with Vipers and Spore Crawlers, but yeah, it really depends on the situation. I guess you could say that Rogue is a lot more reactive compared to Solar, who is a lot more of an active player.
Yeah, and also just the added factor that, again, Rogue is a little bit more fluid when it comes to what he's willing to do.
Definitely.
Whereas Solar is a little bit more rigid, just specifically in this matchup, though. I don't want to apply that to the other matchups of Solar.
Yeah.
But
ZvC is hard. Solar, I mean.
True. Very true. Very true. But yeah, we'll see how this game will go. I do think, again, to just something that aligns with that narrative as well is that we were talking about how Solar most likely vetoed Glittering Ashes in his series, and we can see that Rogue let it through.
Oh, I wonder what the vetoes were. Probably Curious Minds, if I had to guess.
I imagine so. I imagine Curious Minds and maybe Pride. I do wonder what Rogue would have tried to avoid against a Protoss player. Maybe Berlingrad. But yeah, we'll see how this goes, as so far we have some pretty standard openers. This is the largest map in the map pool, so the likelihood of this going into late game is much, much higher.
Yeah, but... well, yeah, no, once you say that sentence, my mind just sort of spiraled. It was like, fine, a cope. Opium required. It's like, well, nope, just gotta accept it, man. War and Glittering Ashes,
You're like,
Rogue versus Zoun. Yeah, no, let's trap ourselves in.
You're like, maybe there's like a dinosaur incoming.
You know,
Uh,
maybe sound goes like AFK
oh,
for
oh,
15 minutes.
it's possible, mate. It
Maybe
is.
Rogue does that.
Oh god, as we do have Zoun coming a lot more to a little bit of aggression here, is able to gain control with these Void Rays. More Void Rays are on the way, but ooh, he is going for another Twilight Council behind this, so it looks like he may also want to go Void Ray into earlier charge lots again.
Yeah, much different from his series against Solar. At least when it came to the initial 2 games.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. We'll see if that's what we get here from Zoun, as he is fully saturated on 3 bases. To be fair, both players are. This is like my one criticism right now of Rogue, is that his 4th base is looking a little bit late. It is finally on the way, but again, ideally you want to be getting your 4th base a little bit sooner here, as again, Zoun is basically has kept up with Rogue when it comes to the economy. No.
Yeah. Which of course means that Zoun is ahead, because it's just kind of how the
Oh,
dynamic works out in ZvP.
Exactly. Unfortunately, Rogue was a little bit out of position with these queens. If they were a little bit more forward, they would have been able to protect the hatchery, but Zoun does get a successful cancel there. So again, a little bit of a small win there from Zoun. Oh.
Yeah, just once again another way of keeping a Rogue back for as long as possible. And Rogue is super committed to roaches. He's already setting up a bit of a highway. He's taking a page off of Sola's book.
He is approaching this very different. Even Solar didn't do this, where we have an Evo Chamber, we have +1, we have Glad. We are going to be seeing a timing here from Rogue as he pushes out with his queens. The highway is looking okay. It's halfway across the map, which is also why I'm a little bit surprised that he's doing this on Glittering Ashes. Maybe he's hoping that this does go unscattered, but again, Zoug, he is being very vigilant with his scouting.
Yeah, this Oracle has not gone down, and he's just being so active with it. Pretty good Haluk, but hasn't seen the Evo Chamber researching yet, has he?
I don't believe he has, as he's edging ever closer. More roaches are in production here. Again, +1 is still a ways away, and again, the Evo Chamber has finally been scouted. Does see it wiggling and jiggling, and it can only mean one thing.
Yeah, I guess more importantly, he also sees all of these roaches out already. And he notices the creep as well, and how far across the map it is, so Zoun should be getting ready. Already 2 cannons on the way.
Yeah, this reaction is late. This is a very late reaction. Zoun did not put 2 and 2 together fast enough. These shield batteries and cannons are gonna finish up, but they're not ready for the first wave.
Zoun needs to do whatever he can with the army he's got right now to try to keep Rogue back for as long as possible. And to be fair, Rogue is a little bit preoccupied with the rubble.
Yeah, but mate, he pulled a Stefano. He is maxed out on Roach Ravager. It's insane what he was able to pull off here. And now he's pushing up this ramp.
And he's already maxed out. Yeah. That is impressive.
Exactly. As you said, he's kind of taking his time. We do have 1 Purification Nova going off, and he does get a kill on a handful of those queens.
Yeah, but only right at the edge there. Wasn't quite as juicy as it could have been. This Purification Nova, though, it does take out a couple of roaches, but then I noticed the army supply difference, and yeah, to say Rogue is ahead is just a bit of an understatement.
Oh, exactly, mate. The queens are a little bit isolated. The Ravagers are they're spending a lot of time on this 4th base. Zoun, though, he can afford to lose the 4th. Another Nova goes off.
Yeah, this is the part that's actually a little bit worrisome from Rogue. He's splitting up his forces instead of concentrating them on one position. The Purification Novas have been beautiful, and just like that, the gap in the army supply is getting closer and closer.
Mate, the Novas were insane. Absolutely insane. The Void Rays, it looks like they're going to go down. No, they just barely survive. Zoun, he will defend.
Wow. That's wow. There's no scenario in the world that Zoun should have been able to get away with that, but man, he did.
I do think that Rogue was maybe spending a little bit too much time over here on the 4th base. I do think that maybe we're lacking a couple of bios as well on the stack defense. We honestly didn't see too many of those at all. And Zoun, he defends. Now he can go for a bit of a counterattack. What does Rogue have left? Okay, he has remade his roaches, so Zoun will have a hard time like counterattacking and trying to end the game.
Yeah, sure he has all these Void Rays out, but doesn't want to overextend with them. They are insanely low. One false step into Spore Crawlers or Queens, and that's going to be it.
He doesn't want to pull a Solar, alright?
Yeah.
Calm down, buddy. He backs off. Fleet Beacon is done. Now we have our Sky Toss on the way in. Rogue is in an interesting place. He's in an interesting place because his worker count is honestly looking pretty good. Like, he's got some nice saturation. But again, down in bases. He had a very committed attack, and because of that, like, Zoun, I really like his economic position right now. Like, Rogue, he has to expand, he has to tech up, he has to get up to Hive as soon as possible.
He really does. And he needs to make sure that he can, well, yeah, as you said, just get there as quickly as possible, because we're once again in that race for which player maxes out first and starts throwing their weight around the map.
Exactly, and because of the upgrades and because of the opener, Rogue is forced to go into Hydras. It does benefit him because of his upgrades, but this does mean that, like, the Hydra Lurker Viper is a bit of a stopgap. It's fine, you know, in the mid game and even in the early stages of the late game, but eventually he will have to transition. And when you go into Hydras like this, like, ideally you want to be a little bit more aggressive.
Yeah, Lurkers are beautiful against a ground toss army, specifically against Charged Archon, but
yeah,
it's just not the composition Zoun's going for.
Yeah, it's what he has. It's what he kind of has right now, but it's not what he wants in the end. So we'll see what the next wave is going to look like for Rogue, because he's about to max out once again.
Yeah, we'll see if he decides to be aggressive once again this time.
Oh, exactly. Here we go, Rogue. He needs to get rid of all these roaches again. This is basically dead supply. Ideally, he's able to force a cancel on one of these bases. Zoun isn't in the best position to protect his base, so maybe Rogue can, again, find some value.
Yeah, the second defense is definitely late. Oh, Purification Nova just barely missing that main army.
That he was. Meanwhile, the carriers are going to come over. The roaches are trying to focus down the Nexus. The Nexus does finish. Can he get it? It looks like, oh god, it looks like he barely can't.
Oh, yeah. So far down to the red, but was not enough.
Yeah,
Shield Battery is, of course, doing a really good job of keeping it alive now.
You could argue that, you know, maybe this softens it up for later on so Rogue can find a kill later, but for the time being, that was kind of a waste of roaches. But again, he wanted to get rid of them. He wanted to free up some room for Lurkers and Vipers.
And now even more supplies getting freed up.
That it is. Adaptive Talents is on the way. Oh, look at all those Vipers just sucking on them buildings.
Rogue is about to get 6 Vipers.
Arguably too many Vipers, but there are some people that will say, mate, you can never have too many Vipers.
Exactly. You need a lot of Vipers to yoink them into Spore Crawlers, so might as well, right?
True. Very true. Very true. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of Vipers available here. Meanwhile, Zoun, he's trying to clear up as much of this creep as possible. He's trying to find a way in. Does connect some of these Purification Novas, but it is not enough to break on through. The defensive Tresh position is too good, and he does find a couple of yoinks.
What I tell ya, right into the Hydras. And enough yoinks to spare to really clean up these carriers.
Yeah, 2 carriers go down. Great trade. But the problem is we have a bit of Zealot run-bys, and all the Lurkers were here on the front line.
Yeah, the one unit that does well against charge shots in this matchup just weren't in position. Unfortunately, +3 is going to get denied. These Hydras are going to be even less effective. And now what Lurkers remain here are just getting cleaned up by the Archons.
Yeah, exactly. All the Lurkers go down. The Hydras are falling as well. Unfortunately, the Vipers just didn't have enough energy to really contribute at all to this fight. And Zoun trades amazingly.
Where were those other 3 Vipers?
There they are.
They were busy getting youth shoes. No!
Too busy sucking on some buildings. Aye.
And now we get a couple of parabombs, so there's nothing to really clean that up. GG is called. Zoun takes game number 1.
GG. As you said, there were 3 Vipers that just weren't across the map at all. And it's not like they would have won fights for Rogue, but they would have slowed down Zoun. Parasitic Bomb would have forced some against some splits. We could have seen even some Blinding Clouds if necessary against the Archons. Some yoinks on the Disruptors into range of the Lurkers. That's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, Blinding Clouds on those Archons would actually work really well, now that I think about it.
Just
because those Hydras were just dropping like flies to the Archons.
They really were. They really were. Just any one of those spells would have been useful on the front line. Unfortunately, the Vipers, they were late. They were very late to the party, and Zoun takes game 1.
With that, we're going to be going into game number 2.
Hmm.
I mean, to be fair, Zoun was kind of in control of that game once Rogue kind of failed his push, but
yeah.
Even still, you want to have that little bit of hope for Rogue, or usually I do. You want to be a little optimistic when it comes to Rogue, because he has proven in the past that he can come back from scenarios like that.
Oh yeah.
That game was not an example of that, though. But that was game number 1. This is game number 2, and it is going to take place on Hardwire. LE, we're in the top right-hand corner, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. We have the red Protoss player coming down from the land of Korea. He is going to be representing Alpha X. We have Zoun.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Hardwire LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player. He is blue, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming, the PG. It is Rogue. And yeah?
Yeah, just another really big, wide-open map. A little bit longer when it comes to length compared to Glittering Ashes, which is which has a bit more width to make up for that. So yeah, I have to wonder if we're finally gonna get that late-game PvZ that we want from Rogue, or from Rogue versus Zoun, or we see another scenario where one of our players tries to end the game early.
Yeah, exactly, and we'll see how this goes here. I think what I enjoy though is that Rogue played out game 1 very differently compared to Solar, so we're getting some nice variety when it comes to ZvP in general here today. So I'm happy for that. And we'll see what he does. Hardwire is one of the smaller maps, so if Rogue does go for a queen push, it will work. It will hit a little bit faster, if he decides to go for that.
Well, it's all to be determined. As Rogue, for now, he just wants to suss out his opponent. He just wants to see what Zoun's going for when it comes to the openings, and have a bit of a plan from there.
We shall see. As lo and behold, I was going to say that maybe one of these games Zoun will feel confident enough to open up with the Twilight Council for like maybe some Glaive Adepts, but so far, just sticking with what works, and that is Stargate.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the proxy GT game.
Oh god. Would Zoun do that against Rogue? Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, it's a best of 5, you know, anything could happen.
Yeah, you get a little bit more opportunity. You take a couple more risks, especially if you're ahead.
Definitely, as so far we do have some pretty standard openers from both players. Nothing that really strikes us as a little bit odd. You know, no early Evo Chamber for a +1 melee for Ling Bane. No early Lair. No early Twilight Council. Unfortunately.
Just nice and standard.
Yeah. I'm surprised we haven't seen any +1 melee openers from our Zerg players yet.
True, actually. Especially because we've mostly seen Zoun as our big name Protoss player here. +1 melee is a very effective way of just shutting down a Protoss player before they can really get much of a Sky Army going.
Yeah, it's a lot more based around just like crippling the economy of the Protoss. which you could argue that Solo was doing in his first game on 2000 Atmospheres, but it didn't even matter.
Yeah.
I think back on it, and I still feel sad, mate. It's like, oh god, Solo, please.
One more parabomb, that's it. That's all you need.
Yeah, feels bad, man. Feels bad. And there it is, yo, as we were talking about it.
Beautiful. Told you they were listening.
That's true. It's true. Rogue, mate. He's taken some tips from us, I guess, Kappa. But he's going for plus
welcome.
He's losing the series. He should not be listening to us. What are you talking about?
No, trust me.
Oh god. But yes, +1 melees. Yeah, go ahead.
When he wins Katowice again, he is 100% just gonna credit us. Like, you know what? I'm not sure where I got it from. I think it was a dream, but I remember two casters suddenly saying I need to go for +1 melee times in ZvP. And I thought, damn, that makes sense.
Shaking my head, mate. Shaking my head. But yes, we were talking about it at the start of the game, and this is what we are seeing. We see Queen walk with plenty of Lings and Banelings behind this. The goal of this, again, with Ling Bane is that you do kind of get into mirror lines. You just eviscerate everything that there is. You can deal a lot more damage to all these buildings as well. Zoun, he does scout this. He's preparing at home. Oh, and
there's actually quite a bit of time for him to set up his defenses. The Queens are very far out of position.
Yeah. Part of me feels like this is a fake out. We'll see if the Queens turn around, because Rogue is droning up behind this.
He is, isn't he? He's trying to draw these Void Rays into the Queens!
Yeah.
But Zoun doesn't take the bait just yet. Rogue turns around. This Oracle will confirm that, yep, Zoun doesn't really have anything to worry about.
Exactly, so it was a bit of a bait. Zoun will cancel what he can, but a couple of buildings will finish up. So again, a little bit inefficient there from the side of Zoun. Rogue was just forcing a reaction, and he forced it. He was successful.
He wanted a reaction, and he got one. And now he's actually drawing these Void Rays really far out of position. These Lings are not going to have as much trouble as they would have earlier on.
Yeah, unfortunately for Rogue, not everything was cancelled. Otherwise, these Lings would go unhindered. But there are some cannons and shield batteries, so the Lings will come back home. But that doesn't matter, because now we have +2 on the way. With +2, Banelings will be able to one-shot workers. They do not need a second Baneling at all. So again, Baneling run-bys will hit that much harder.
They will. We do have a little bit of a pseudo wall here for Zoun, so at the very least, Rogue shouldn't have any easy entrance to that mineral line.
He shouldn't. Meanwhile, so far the anti-air of choice for Rogue is just pure mass Queen. That is all he is relying on, at least until he's able to tech up. So far, he hasn't found too much value with the Lings. I was assuming that he was going to morph in a bunch of Banes for a run-by, but he hasn't gone for that yet.
Same. Yeah. It's just what you kind of expect from the Zerg player at this point, right? If already invested in the +1, they were already getting Lings, may as well get... wait, does he have Baneling speed? He doesn't.
Yeah, an interesting upgrade that he has avoided. He's got a lot of upgrades on the way, but not Baneling speed. As the Void Rays are finding a little bit more success here, they're able to clear out a couple of these Overlords. Gonna be able to make it easier for Zoun to maybe dive in later on. So the Spores are repositioning. Bit of a Ling run by here, and maybe he can deny this base?
Yeah, he can definitely get that cancelled. Yeah, there should be enough Lings. There we go. Kills the pylon as well, because, you know, why not? Does supply block Zoun for a while longer.
That it does. Meanwhile, we do have a lot of Lings on the way here for Rogue. This time we should see some Banelings at some point, maybe. But regardless, again, his goal is to deny this base once again and maybe dive on top of these disruptors.
Rogue is pulling a Mio Micah. He's going full Ling Infestor. Who needs Banelings when Fungals do splash damage, am I right?
I mean, they do. You're not wrong.
They do. Hey, he's making Banelings fun.
There we go. Banelings are on the way here. I don't think he's realized that he doesn't have Baneling speed, so a bit of a feels bad, man. That will impact these run-bys. The likelihood of Zoun scouting them before they connect or find anything is pretty high. There we go. Finally, it's on the way.
Especially with these walls that Zoun has been setting up. Look at that.
Yeah, we have the Waddle by the Banelings. They're rolling on in, and they're not going to find too much damage. They get picked up by the cannons.
Oh, 2 Banelings survive, and that's just
True.
enough to really mess up a mineral line. But because it was scouted, you have a quick warp in. Here comes the Busto, right through the wall.
Oh my god!
Power +2 ship weapons gets denied. And just like that, Rogue has found a very, very nice way of getting himself ahead. He's even going to be able to cancel that Twilight cancel.
I love that. He delays Storm. He delays Archons as well with that. And the Lings are finding a lot of damage again. This is the power of +2. We have another Ling run by being set up on the left-hand side of the map. I don't think he's going to find too much damage because there is this full wall off here. But regardless, finally the Lings are able to slow down Zoun a little bit.
Yeah, finally they're paying for themselves. Zoun might not be able to, or Rogue, sorry, might not be able to bust through that, but with Lings, but maybe with Banes.
Ooh, maybe. Meanwhile, we have 2 Cyber Cores on the way here for Zoun, just to make sure he can get his upgrades up and running. You may be wondering though, like, what's scary about this is that Ling Bane, like, this is great to harass the Protoss player, but eventually the Skytoss is going to move out. We do have a lot of Infestors though to defend.
They're saying fungal and neural parasite. That's all he needs. He has enough Infestors, neural parasite, each of Zoun's Void Rays, I think.
Yeah, I mean 2 more Infestors are on the way as well. We have a lot of Spores. So Rogue, he's basically waiting for Zoun to have enough of these run-bys and push out across the map. And then he will have the defender's advantage with Queens, Infestors, and Spores. That is his goal right now. So far, Zoun hasn't been the bait. He's still waiting for... He's content staying at home and defending to wait for all his upgrades.
Yeah, and he may as well. There's not really much to pressure him to go across the map or push across the map with everything. Sure, this base keeps getting delayed, but at the end of the day, doesn't really do much to put a dent in Zoun's income. That was a kill and not a cancel, though.
Yeah.
And these Lings make it into the main base.
That's what I'm saying. These Lings are finding damage. You know, they take out some of the production. They get a kill on a Nexus. Like, Zoun's army isn't very mobile, so the Lings are doing things. It's not like the biggest of trades that Rogue is getting, but like slowly over time, it adds up.
And behind all of this, Rogue has technically been trading better. Like, maybe not when it comes to unit loss stat, but he's only lost Lings and Banes, which are expendable. He hasn't taken any economic damage throughout this game. He's just continuing to expand. He's getting his, what, 7th, 8th base up at this point?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, Zoun has been stuck at home defending. He hasn't been able to hinder the expansions of Rogue at all. So his bank is getting higher and higher. Meanwhile, here we go. Zoun is finally pushing into creep. Rogue is getting ready to receive him. Doesn't want to pull the trigger too early, though. Like, he has to be careful not to fight without his Spores.
Yeah, he doesn't want to pull a Solar.
No, he does not. Solar, we love you. Oh god. Meanwhile, here we are. Finally, Zoun is going across the map with a bit of a hit squad of Void Rays. Unfortunately, the anti-air army is a little bit out of position, so the Void Rays are trying to dive in, but can they avoid the Fungals? Up!
They can avoid the Fungals that don't land. They cannot avoid the Neural Parasites, but Recall doesn't care about Neural. Thankfully, Zoun was able to land that before the Infestors came in.
Yeah, exactly. So nicely done there by Zoun. He was able to bring everything back home. Did force a lot of wasted spells from those Infestors, but I think they should have more than enough to continue to throw down Fungals and Neuroparasites. I don't think it's the biggest of deals.
Yeah, a lot of these Infestors are still in full energy.
Meanwhile, look at the massive run by Banelings. Can they even just right-click the Nexus? Oh, he doesn't go for it.
Could, but Rogue wants efficiency. He wants the probes.
Oh!
And he gets them! Beautiful.
Oh,
you can't, unfortunately, you can't drone drill against Banelings.
The drone drilling is not what you want to do against Banelings. We even have burrows that the Banelings are hiding. Oh, they get found out regardless.
They were hiding, yeah.
They were trying to hide. But again, this is what we're talking about. So again, Rogue, he's just going to keep going for Ling Bane run-bys, even Ultra run-bys, and just keep trying to cripple Zoun, force him to attack. That's his win condition here. And that is all going to be about the execution of the fight.
And he's getting there slowly but surely. Of course, Rogue doesn't want to miscalculate this and go in with his run-bys after Zoun has accumulated a bank, because we are starting to get to the point where Zoun has less workers, but because of that has a much higher army supply.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, here comes the big fight. We do have Microbial Shroud on all the queens. We have Fungals blanketing the entire Protoss army as well. Purification Nova will go up, but one Nova is not going to be enough.
And Microbial Shroud is doing so much to keep the Zerg army alive. Queens are starting to take a little bit of hit, but look at all that transfuse energy available. Archons are starting to come in though, and these queens do not have a buffer.
They do not, but the Archons, they are running out of shields. The Ultra coming in clutch here. Same with the final Microbial Shroud. A lot of the Infestors, their energy is gone. They need a little bit of time. The Zealots are trying to dive on top of the Infestors, and they get one.
A little bit of a win there, I guess, for Zoun, but at the end of the day, I do feel like Rogue traded a little more efficiently in that engagement.
That he did. The problem is that Zoun is not stopping, and Rogue, unlike Vipers, Infestors do run out of energy. Like, there are very finite amounts of Microbial Shrouds and Fungals available to Rogue.
There really are. I think it's, what, 2 Neuroparasites left?
He does have 2 Infestors with full energy, so again, there's still some decent power here. What's missing here for Zoun? Wait, where are the High Templar? Where are the feedbacks?
Well, they got attacked by the Ultras.
True.
They had morphed into Archons or didn't survive.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, Zoun, he's pushing in once again. What's also a little bit scary, mate, the Spore Forest, it's not a forest anymore.
It's more like a park. Beautiful Purification Novas getting a massive chunk of the Queens. The Infestors are getting targeted by the Charge Lots. And another really good Purification Nova on top of even more Queens.
Yeah, the problem...
Zoun is starting to gain a lot of ground.
There were no Fungals. The Infestors weren't there to support the Queens at all. It was just pure Queen up against the Protoss army, and that was not enough. Zoun finally finds some room. He will take a base, could find another, but we see a massive switch into Mass Corruptor.
Yeah, the defensive advantage really, or pretty soon, is going to start working in Rogue's favor. We do see a lot of StarCraft starting to get warped in, which is a bit of an answer to the Corruptors. But he needs a lot more than that, and he needs Blink on top of that as well.
Yeah.
His base is going to go down.
Not just the base, another infest. The Infestors are going down. No, the Charge Lots is nothing to stop them. Thankfully, they finally do borrow, but what was that? 2 or 3 Infestors get picked off.
How does Zoun have protection there? Jeez.
Oh my god. Meanwhile, Corruptors are good. Archons are better. They cannot dive on top of these carriers efficiently, so Zoun keeps finding more ground.
And throughout this entire game, Rogue was the one who was trying to starve out Zoun, but now the tables are very quickly turning.
That they are. We do have a Fungal on the entire army. The Corruptors are trying to focus down as many of these carriers as they can, and it looks like they will clean up the carriers. But what about the ground army?
Well, Rogue just needs to buy himself some time. He's trying to morph in as many Zerglings as possible, but it is not going to be enough. The ground army gets completely decimated. Zoun is now a match point in another game where, honestly, Rogue looked really impressive.
Yeah.
But he just kept poking the bear. A bear called Zoun.
Yeah, and to be fair, he was ready for the first push, right? That first big fight that they had, Rogue was trading very well there. It was the second wave where he started to crumble, and we saw those Novas, and we saw almost every single Queen just die immediately.
And there's just something about Zoun's disruptors, man. If most other Protoss players land their Purification Novas, let's say 40% of the time, something like that, feels like Zoun lands them like 70 or 80% of the time even.
Yeah, exactly. And unfortunately, that game, Rogue didn't have any Vipers. He didn't have a way to deny those disruptors in any meaningful way, so he just had to rely on his splits, and the splits weren't there.
Unfortunately. It is a little bit awkward splitting Roach Ravager in that scenario, I suppose, but again, that's kind of why you get Vipers. And now, oh boy, we're going into game number 3, potentially the last game, and about 2 viewers are about to make a lot of money if Zoun wins this.
Oh, I didn't even look
about
at.
to make a lot of channel points.
I didn't look at the predictions, but my god, yeah. 8% voted for Zoun, and Zoun only needs one more, mate. He only needs one more.
I wasn't fast enough to vote, unfortunately. But yeah, now we're going into game number 3 of our best of 5 semifinals. Winner of this will be going into the grand finals, and mate, nobody believed in him, but it's looking very, very likely that it's going to be our player in the bottom left-hand corner map, spotting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner, our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea. He is going to be representing Alpha X, proving time and time again why he's been given that nickname, the General. He is Zoun.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2,000 Atmospheres LE, we have the South Korean Zerg player. He is blue, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. DPG, currently down 0-2 in this series. He needs to win every single game from here on forward. If he wants to win here, it is Rogue. No more room for error, main.
None whatsoever.
And that last game, again, a bit of a feels bad, man. I was just rewatching it on the stream, and unfortunately, Rogue, he overcommitted to the Corruptors. He made like 30 Corruptors.
I guess he didn't. Yeah, I guess he didn't realize how prevalent those Archons were.
Yeah,
in the engagements.
Exactly. Like even 4 Ultras maybe would have been enough. Any kind of commitment to Ground Toss army. He needed to, again, split up his larva a little bit more evenly. He just, just overcommitted to the Corruptors. Feels bad, man. Feels bad.
Ouch. Well, we're here. Thank you very much, Chileno Singaporean, for the 10-month resub.
Oh, exactly. Massive shout out to him. It did happen during an engagement, so I didn't give too much attention to it. But yes, massive shout out to Chileno Singaporean. 10 months he has been subscribed. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much. Gracias, gracias.
Yeah, buenos gracias.
Buenos gracias, mate. Oh god. And as Kuro is letting people know in the chat, some people asking, yo, why ESL Open Cup in the middle of the week? Well, because it was rescheduled. ESL did have maintenance on their website a couple of weeks ago, so because of that, they were unable to run their regular weekly tournaments.
Yeah, it wasn't just ESL Asia that didn't happen that week. ESL Americas, ESL EU didn't take place, and so that is actually going to be rescheduled to tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you say tomorrow, I say in a couple of hours.
Yeah, true. Technically tomorrow, but that's just because it passes midnight over here.
Yeah, true, very true. So, we have a long day of StarCraft. As soon as ESL Asia ends, ESL Europe will begin, and that also leads into ESL NA, or Americas, which unfortunately we will not be casting because as ESL Americas is going on, we are going to be covering NA Apprentice instead.
The spicier of the NA tournaments, in my opinion.
It is very spicy, yeah.
Oh boy! If you haven't caught those games, if you haven't watched those matches, go watch the VODs, because my god, it is the epitome of NA.
Yeah, the qualifiers
for
NA Apprentice were beautiful, mate. They were just solid NA games. If you want to tune into NA StarCraft, be sure to tune into NA Apprentice tomorrow. If you want to tune into Korean StarCraft, be sure to tune into ESL Open Cup Americas tomorrow.
True.
Oh god. But yeah, that will be in just I believe 10 hours from now, so still plenty of time for that. Meanwhile, we are diving into game 3, and Zoun opening up very different here.
We were waiting for it, but here we go. Still going for the Void Ray first, but this time Zoun is skipping out on his Oracle. He goes for... No, wait, he still got the Oracle. Alright, well, not going for the double Stargate, but he does go for the much quicker Twilight Council.
That he does, but I'm getting mixed signals here, Yaku, because even though he went for the Twilight Council, he's still committed to +1 air attack, so I'm really curious here. He's finally taking his gases. I was curious to see if he was going to get charged and go for like an early charge push. But yeah, I don't even know anymore, man. Oh!
Quick Templar, but no, it is for Adepts. Zoun is one of those players. Alright. Going for a bit of a glaive attempt.
Yeah.
As we'll call it, harass. Not the most committed harass, but it is a way to gain map control early on while you just work on your Skytops army.
We've seen this plenty of times, you know, a transition into glaive adepts, and it can hit very hard, and it can be very unexpected. I don't recall seeing this with +1 air though before. That is what has thrown me off. So because of that, he is still again ready to transition, or at least yeah, I would say transition into Skytoss from here. Otherwise, there's no reason to commit into +1 air attack. So
yeah, I'm getting super. This is also really throwing me off because Zoun threw down 6 more gateways. I'm 100% with you. It almost feels like that +1 air was a mistake, maybe, but I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, yeah, we'll see how he utilizes the Void Rays, because maybe he intends to attack with his Void Rays and Adepts at the same time, and +1 is lined up with this. So again, Zoun is looking to end the game right now. Like, look at the worker counts right now. Like, he's down 20 workers. This is going to be a very committed push. And so far, Rogue has scouted it because the Overseer did dive in. He's getting ready. He's throwing down spines.
Yeah, you got that 4th base, but he's not going to make any drones for it anytime soon, and he shouldn't either. He's working on nothing but roaches, spines, and queens.
Yeah, that he is. We do see Zoun trying to push him forward, but there are so many queens here. Stasis Ward will go up on a lot of these lings, and the Adepts are still a threat. They still have to be taken seriously.
And they do, which is why we see Rogue following the shades as best he can.
Yeah, exactly, but Zoun just can't find a way in. He does complete a couple of shades here, but we have 2 spines. The 3rd base is completely safe. We have a commitment, though, into the natural base. Finally, some drones are going down, but only 5 so far.
Yeah, Zoun does get a really nice scout on the Spire, though, which is something, but these Adepts haven't paid for themselves yet. Now they're starting to.
Yeah. My god, it went from 5 to 13 to 14 to potentially more, as we still have 3 Adepts here. These Adepts have definitely paid for themselves.
Yeah, when you have enough Adepts, they're bound to get damage done somewhere. Even better if you can split them up.
Yeah, exactly, and that was a lot of damage dealt here. Rogue really struggling now when it comes to the worker count, and he's getting ready for a counterattack. Meanwhile, we do have a second Stargate on the way. Zoun does want to transition back into Skytoss, but Rogue, he is now all in.
That he is, and Zoun hasn't noticed this yet.
That he has not. Finally, he does get eyes on this. We do have some stack defense on the way, but honestly not that much. And what's important is that Rogue doesn't have to push into the 3rd. If he wants to, he can try and just break the natural.
Yeah, which is honestly looking to be the safer option at this point, just because there are less defenses up there. Zoun is trying his best to try to split the attention of Rogue, but it's not quite working out for him.
That he is not. Unfortunately, unlike last time, Zoun does not have disruptors. Disruptors are on the way, but they're still a ways up. Decent control so far with the Void Rays avoiding all these biles, but damage is still being done.
That it is. I do like this from Zoun, though. He's utilizing his Adepts to just, make sure that Rogue won't be able to recover. It's still going to be a very tough hold for Zoun, but if he survives, he's not going to be behind by any means.
Zoun, he's done such a good job at just kiting backwards. He will lose every single worker at this 3rd base. Ooh, and a couple of Void Rays actually do get sniped towards the end there. I don't think he has enough. Like, there are only 2 Void Rays left.
Yeah, those Corrosive Vials actually landing on top of the Skytoss army and on top of these Adepts as well. It really is an easy answer to these roaches. The Disruptors get out, and they do get a pretty decent connection, but decent is not enough.
Yeah, exactly. As every single Void Ray gets sniped out of the sky, the counterattack was just far too strong here from Rogue. He breaks through the 3rd base, and soon the natural. There's nothing left. There are only 2 disruptors, and that is not going to be enough, mate.
And it really isn't. Even if they do get the juiciest connections in the world.
That was not one of them. That was... God. Again, the Disruptors, they were too late. They came out as the third base was falling. They needed to be a little bit sooner here. The transition needed to be faster from Zoun, and unfortunately it was not. The fourth base falls, and now Rogue can focus on the natural.
Yeah, game number 1 and 2 really looked a lot like Rogue was sort of poking the bear, you know, doing a lot of damage economically, but then Zoun coming back in with his much superior army. This game is a complete reversal on that dynamic. This time, Zoun forced Rogue all in, when Rogue didn't necessarily want to go all in, and now he's paying the price. GG! Rogue makes sure that this is not a clean sweep. Thankfully.
GG Rogue, he fights back. Because, mate, he is one of the best Zerg players in the entire world, and he is here to prove it. Zoun has had some pretty amazing PvZ, but it is not enough to 3-0 Rogue.
Exactly. If this was the best of 3, we'd have a much different story, but thankfully it is a best of 5.
That it is. We are diving straight into game number 4. Very quick lobbies are being made here, and my god, Berlingrad was not vetoed.
Wow.
What did Rogue veto? I'm trying to think.
I'm still thinking Pride of Altaris and Curious Minds. Like Rogue, Pride of Altaris, Zoun, Curious Minds, but I don't know, maybe we'll get a race match and then we'll see. What's the other map that we haven't seen yet? Blackburn. That's the other one we haven't seen yet. Well, without further ado, we are going to be continuing our best of 5 semifinals here on Berlingrad LE, where we're here in the top left-hand corner map, swatting all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Korea. He has been very impressive in his PvZs, but is that going to be enough to take out Rogue here in a best of 5? That is to be determined. Representing Alpha X, he is Zoun.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have our South Korean Zerg player. He is blue, representing Dragon Phoenix Gaming. It is Rogue.
So, +1 melee this game, right? Or on Berlingrad.
On Berlingrad, mate, I would assume a queen push.
True, though, actually, yeah.
But we'll see. Again, this is the smallest map in the map pool. It does lean towards that more aggressive style of play. This was also the map where Solar was able to take a win and fight back against Zoun as well. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on things and we'll see if Rogue also decides to use the map to his advantage.
Indeed, we shall.
And he will.
I'm just keeping my fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that Zoun doesn't go for another 2-gate carrier build on Berlingrad, like he did against Solar.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Not at all.
Like Zoun, he has room to get wild, which is why I think he went for Glaive Adepts in the last game, because he's like, yo, I'm up 2-0, let's just go, let's roll the dice, right? But he, you know, he wants to be careful not to lose his lead here in this series.
Yeah, which again, so I'm hoping that Zoun's default build on Berlingrad isn't early carriers. I'm hoping it is something a little bit more safe, a little bit more standard.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well. Meanwhile, I do see a little bit of balanced discussion going on in the chat. Specifically talking about Hardwire. What I will say about that Hardwire game is that honestly, I do think that Rogue was playing that beautifully. Like up until the final fights, like he was looking really good with his constant counterattacks and the way that he was able to just absorb the pushes from Zoun. Just towards the end, it did feel like he was playing on the knife's edge, and he miscalculated a little bit, and it did kind of topple over in Zoun's favor. I do think that if we had that same scenario, I do think that Rogue probably honestly could have won that game. It was much closer than it otherwise would have seemed. So yeah.
I'm gonna agree because I struggle to get details.
So good.
I struggle to remember details. That was the game with the Mass Corruptor towards the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, there we go.
So good, man. It's so good. It's getting late here in the land of Singapore and Australia. You know, we got to go to bed soon. So maybe when our brains aren't firing at all cylinders, it's okay. It's okay. It's so good.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go for.
I can't wait to have some dinner after this. Not gonna lie. Oh god.
Same.
But what are you talking? You ate before this. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but what about second dinner?
Shaking my head. Shaking my head. As Zoun is opening up with a Stargate once again. Big surprise. There's the second Stargate. He is not going for a fast fleet beacon. Or at least he shouldn't be.
Fingers crossed. Make Void Ray sound. I'm begging you.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed. As Rogue, he's also doing a really good job at spreading this creep. Oh, it is denied, though, here in the center of the map. But again, he wants to spread it as much as possible. We see the Roach Warren being thrown down. This time, no Evo Chamber, no +1.
Yeah, so he's even more committed to Roach Queen March than he was on... Was it Hardwire?
Yeah, Hardwire. Do you really
Hardwire.
not remember? Are you turning into Steel mode? Is the dementia kicking in, mate? Is that what's happening? Early onset dementia at like 20 years of age? Like, oh my god. Yaku,
Look,
please.
I am getting to the age it's set in for Steel, so...
Oh god.
It's genetic. It skips a generation.
I didn't mention it, but earlier there was a pulsar beam that was going off, and sorry, there was a stasis ward going off, and you called it a pulsar beam or something like that. I was like, oh, okay, buddy.
Did I?
You did. In the Solar series. On Glittering Ashes.
I also called the spawning pool a Roach Warren.
That did happen.
I was very surprised. I was like, how is he getting a Roach Warren this early? Like, what? There's a spawning pool.
Oh god. Meanwhile, we do have the Void Rays denying the 4th base. Ooh, nicely done here by Zoun, already faring better than his series against Solar on this map. Again, just keeping Rogue on these low amount of bases. The creep is being nicely spread, and there it is. We do have Roach speed and +1 on the way.
Yeah, again, got the creep highway going up. Zoun should be able to put 2 and 2 together.
Yes. If you recall, the last time we saw this build from Rogue, it was on Glittering Ashes, and it was when he was able to max out 200 supply at 8 minutes, and push on Glittering Ashes. So, mate, if he could make it... It didn't work on Glittering... To be fair, it didn't work on Glittering Ashes. But I was like, if he could always make it work there, like, it should work better here. Oh!
Exactly. I do remember the Glittering Ashes game, actually. That was the push where Rogue may have been able to make it work if he didn't split up his roaches. If he didn't split up his roaches to attack the 4th and the 3rd at the same time. So yeah, I do have very high hopes for Rogue to do so this game. But he goes for a Spire behind this.
Yeah, the Spire does signify that he is not committed to an early push anymore, as in he's getting ready for the next round, for the follow-up. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, he's committed to this. We still have 16 roaches on the way, so I do feel like he does want to utilize them. He does want to push regardless.
Yeah, and Zoun is still getting ready for that push. He actually hasn't scouted the Spire yet.
He has not. He has no idea. He has seen all these queens in the creep, though, so he should be taking this seriously. I do think that he's taking a bit of a risk, like avoiding stack defense at this 3rd base. Very risky move from Zoun. So far, he's getting away with it, but there we go. Finally, some more cannons.
Yeah, and he is still getting disruptors out, so it's something. He neglected the defenses for a little while because he is being very greedy when it comes to his tech.
That he is. Meanwhile, we have that max out Rogue is so close. The Ravagers are being morphed in as well. So again, this is very similar to that game on Glittering Ashes, except he's also working on +1 range. Like he's +1 flyer attack, sorry. So he is prepared to not kill his opponent and get ready to go into Corruptors from here.
Yeah, he just needs to do some kind of damage, and that will be enough for Rogue.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, nice dodge on the first Purification Nova. The second does connect, but only on a couple of queens. And now in comes Rogue. More importantly, coming in from 2 sides.
Yeah, Zoun's about to get completely surrounded, but can he pull it off? He's trying to focus on one front at a time. which isn't a terrible idea when you're in this scenario, but still, he does have to worry about those Ravager swords in north. Purification Nova does land on a couple of queens. Not too bad, but they were low energy queens.
That they were. Meanwhile, we had a random Phoenix question mark. The Biles are not connecting, but they are zoning away all of these Void Rays. All the cannons and shield batteries are going down. And even though Rogue was getting ready with that Spire, getting ready for the follow-up, mate, he's achieving so much more with just the Queens and the Ravagers.
Yeah, he may not need it in the end.
True,
Rogues are very quickly evacuated, but if Zoun loses her base, it's still very valuable here for Rogue.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, a lot of the workers get transferred over to the 4th, so Zoun is still in this, but the natural is a little bit exposed as well. The Queens, they're getting taken out a little bit here, and finally, Corruptors are in production.
Yeah, that's one hell of a way to deal with these Void Rays. I suppose just a way to secure the kill. He's mostly going to be relying on Queens to soften them up.
Yeah, definitely. Meanwhile, the wall has been broken. Lings do flood on in. There's only a handful of disruptors remaining, and they will zone away the army for now. But the Biles! Oh my god.
The Biles! Oh, how many Void Rays did they take out? I don't think I even want to know.
Jesus Christ, Zoun, please. He does take a lot of those Biles to the face. And as you were saying, the killing blow are going to be these Corruptors like Rogue. He was again preparing himself, knowing that he may not be able to kill his opponent outright. They will with the follow-up, or he may.
Yeah, we'll see. Yes, there's still a decent amount of Void Rays in the sky for right now. And Zoun is remaking them as quickly as possible. A couple of disruptors to still deal with the Queens on the ground, and I'm actually a little surprised at this. Zoun has enough minerals to throw down 7 gateways.
Jesus, that's a massive gateway explosion. They're not ready yet, though, and the army of Zoun is honestly leaving much to be desired as Rogue, he's pushing in once again, this time with some more consistent anti-air, this time ready to focus down the Void Rays and the carriers.
Yeah, it's still a little bit tricky to position all of this. Zoun doesn't want to expose his Corruptors because otherwise they just get Prismatic Alignment down very, very quickly.
True, Prismatic.
So far,
yeah?
Yeah, but so far he is doing a pretty good job of just keeping them on top of the Queens. Safety.
That he is, but you know what? Zoun, he danced with the army, bought enough time for those gateways to finish up. We do have a warp in of Zealots. Again, he just needs to buy time. At the same time, Rogue, he's diving in. He wants to catch reinforcements.
He hasn't found any just yet, but now, perhaps. It's even an opportunity for him to caustic spray some stuff down, but the threat of the Void Rays is enough to draw these Corruptors back.
Exactly. The carriers, they get picked off. We see another Prismatic Alignment. Rogue does respect that. He will back off. But again, he just has to back off long enough for Prismatic Alignment to run out, and he's got plenty of Transfused Energy. He's got plenty of Creep as well.
He does, actually, yeah. That's something I've been really underestimating when it comes to these engagements. Just how much more maneuverability Rogue has here.
Yeah, and oh my god, the missed rally! We do have 2 disruptors walk through the main army of Rogue. Somehow they actually get to the other side. Oh my god, they all survive!
Wow.
What?
And the battery overcharge keeps them alive as well. That was a really good Purification over 2.
Oh my god.
Wow.
I am shocked that all those disruptors survived, and the fact that they survived, like, Zoun still has a pretty good fighting chance. The Corruptors are trying to deal with these Stargates, but oh god, the Novas! Look how many Queens they take out! Oh!
And even more Queens start to fall. If you get to a scenario where it's purely Corruptors versus Void Rays, I have to favor the Void Rays, man.
I agree, and I feel like Rogue agrees as well, so he's throwing down spores in the face of his opponent, like he knows, like he needs better anti-air here, especially when he doesn't have a hive, when he doesn't have access to Vipers.
I just realized Flux Veins finished up a while ago as well, so yeah, these Void Rays have even more maneuverability.
Oh my.
Rogue is being very aggressive with these Corruptors, and I feel like it's kind of backfiring on him.
Yeah, meanwhile, the slow lots get across the map. They don't have charge, but they're getting damage done. They're distracting Rogue right now. They're impacting the economy of Zoun, and Zoun is even expanding behind this towards the top right.
I'm in absolute awe of what I'm witnessing right now. Like,
no!
Just how well Zoun is able to survive. These Zealots dealt with the Zerglings, and now they're dealing with these drones. Rogue is not ahead economically by any means.
Mate,
was never ahead economically by any means, but now he is 100% behind.
Mate, 25 workers just go down. The slow... Who needs charge, apparently? Charge is OP because slow lots are enough to kill 25 drones. And the queens. And even more. They're not stopping.
Wow. Is this poking the bear, though? Is now Rogue knows he needs to deal more damage.
True. I mean, there are a lot of corruptors. There's a lot.
There are a lot of corruptors.
We need Archons right now, and
Archons,
Zoun realizes that, but he doesn't have enough time to get them out. He needs to buy more time for his tech to finish up to get those Archons out. Otherwise, his Skytos army is just going to crumble to all these corruptors.
That's why he's kind of trying to buy himself some time with these zealots. Just trying to distract Rogue as much as possible. These 3 stalkers in the main base are the absolute MVPs right now because they are just doing such a good job of zoning out these corruptors. My god, all the corruptors are going home, by the way.
They are coming home. Yo, you say coming home. Honestly, they can caustic spray down this Nexus.
They could.
Where are those stalkers? We need the stalkers. He doesn't go for the Nexus.
He doesn't. Archons are being made right now.
They are. No, the Archons are coming out. Rogue, please.
We have 44 corruptors out right now. Rogue trying to make a handful of roaches to deal with the Archons, but again, some good purification novas, some well-placed zealots will be enough to keep those roaches away.
Mate, there was a time where Rogue was maxed out and Zoun had like 120 supply. Like, the longer this goes on, the better it's getting here for Zoun. Like, I'm getting more and more concerned for Rogue.
I really cannot believe what I'm witnessing right now.
Oh my god, the patience from Zoun is absolutely insane right now. He takes out a bunch of queens. Again, not overcommitting. He doesn't want to lose his Archons. He needs them to zone away these corruptors.
Exactly.
And
the units from Zoun are synergizing really well as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Zealots to counter the roaches and the queens, Archons to deal with the corruptors.
And to be fair, like, we're talking a lot about what Zoun is doing. Also, on top of this, as another Nova goes off, Rogue is being incredibly just stubborn right now. What I will say, there's no hive, there's no infestation pit, there's no vipers, there's no infestors. Like, he's trying to brute force this, and he's tunnel vision far too much.
Absolutely. He's only now gotten to 7 base. His 5th base, that's surprising to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it would be a 6 by now.
Like, look at the worker count as well. Like, Rogue doesn't have a good economy. He's Zoun is currently mining more resources compared to Rogue. Like, this is slipping away from Rogue's hands.
I'm in shock, but now there's nothing to deal with the corruptors. I say that as stalkers got warped in very, very quickly. These corruptors are sitting ducks.
I kind of don't want Zoun to kill the corruptors. Like, the corruptors are dead supply. Like, I feel like as corruptors die, roaches and ravagers are being made. I feel
exactly.
Oh god.
Like, the one good way I think for Rogue to utilize these corruptors is to sneak them around and try to caustic spray a base or some production, but look at how on point Zoun is being with his recall. Some really good purification over on the Crowned Army, and now the desperation move. GG's now does it against the Hawks. We were so hyped to get a Zerg player in the final slide. At the start of today's broadcast, we were like, yo, Solar's back, Rogue is back. Some of the best Zerg players who just don't sign up consistently are finally here. But at the end of the day, mate, it's all about the Protoss. Zoun has absolutely proven himself in this matchup, taking out Solar 2-1, and now Rogue 3-1. And the only thing left is a Terran player in the form of, I'm not sure if it's Simon Cure. Let me just refresh the bracket. In the form of Cure. That was absolutely beautiful.
Mate, you were talking about, like, oh, we were expecting, like, a Zerg player in the finals. I was expecting a Game 5. That's all I was. I was like, let's go, Rogue. He does his Roach Ravager push. He kills the 3rd base. You know, he's getting all this damage done. But he... And he was getting ready for the follow-up Corruptors as well to help deal with the Void Rays. Like, it felt like he knew exactly what he was doing. And then slowly over time, it just kind of slipped away from his grasp. We saw, despite the mass investment into Corruptors, this is the 2nd game where we've seen him go mass Corruptor and just, like, fail with them because they were kind of dead supply. He had them for so long and they were accomplishing nothing. We were talking about maybe dipping in and like sniping like a Nexus or sniping production. We saw 3 Stalkers pushing him away when he had enough to just tank the Stalkers and deal damage anyway if he wanted to. Like he was,
panicking a little.
He was kind of panicking a little bit. Yeah, it was crazy.
Absolutely insane, mate. And I'm sure that there are a lot of Protoss players out there who will be able to analyze everything Zoun, every little thing Zoun was doing that got him back in this game. But I do feel like it's, as you said, at the end of the day, Rogue just tunnel visioned way too hard.
He did. That's the simplistic way of putting it, and it's true, right? It's a couple of things where he tunnel visioned when it comes to not scouting the 4th base, right? He didn't realize that there was a base there, so he didn't deny it. When it comes to transitioning, that's the biggest one, like getting a hive, like getting more bases, getting drones, investing in stack defense, like slow lots. Slow lots killed him.
Slow lots killed 25 drones without charge. 4 slow zealots wiped out a mineral line. That was it, mate.
Yeah.
And there was moments like that that really felt like Zoun had a guardian angel. Again, he moved 4 disruptors through no man's land.
Yeah.
Through all of those queens and ravagers, and somehow they still survived. And got their purification nodes to connect on the main army. Someone's just watching out for Zoun from up above.
Yeah, that was another key
I'm gonna
moment.
say patience.
Why
He's
not?
watching out for Zoun.
Why not, mate? Why not? Like, that was insane. Congratulations to, like, the one guy who voted for Zoun. He's gonna make bank.
It was actually 2, surprisingly.
True, those 2 people, those two viewers. They knew who was gonna win, mate. Protoss, mate.
Yeah.
Wow.
ZvP unwinnable.
ZvP unwinnable, Kappa. But yeah, congratulations to Zoun. Again, we spoke about it even in previous games, even in previous series. He is tenacious, if anything. He doesn't give up despite the scenario, despite being down in supply, despite losing bases. Like, he has been very patient and just takes win after win. GG.
Well played. And now we're finally gonna get to see a map that we haven't seen yet tonight in our grand finals. Oh, right. Because of the grand finals, we are going to be having another prediction.
Yes, we will. I thought you were going to say, for the first time today, we're seeing a Terran.
Oh, true.